This is obviously in the hierarchy. In the director, there will be a cinematographer or a camera person. Again, works closely with the production director, and so production designer again quickly would be someone who is responsible for like how a set, like the props or like the color of basically agar ek set hai, even if like you're shooting in a live location and you decide okay, this is my frame, this is my frame. Now I think you can see my like this mirror in the background and stuff. So do we need it in the shot? Do we remove it? Do we keep something else? And so there is someone known as a production designer or an art director who will be in charge of like figuring out. And again, it's a very discussion in itself. So, but again, you discuss or again as a DOP, you'll be expected to work closely with the production designer because again, like the color of the props that are being used, and maybe the DOP needs a lamp or like some light source. Again, I think you're now responsible for visual language of the project. So if you, the decisions that I talked about, if you are able to make those decisions at all the stages, then it develops into visual language automatically for whatever project you're working on. And yeah, you are involved with the project in like, as I mentioned, pre-production, shooting on actual dates. Post-production would be the color grading part of it. Again, we'll discuss it. So DOP closely works with someone known as a focus puller. Now, I don't think if you have used a DSLR any time in your life, it has an autofocus mode and a manual focus mode. But film cameras don't have autofocus at all. A person has to manually change the focus ring because if the person moves, if your character moves, the focus has to be shifted as the character moves or as the camera moves. Again, it's a whole topic of discussion itself, but it's a profession in itself. There are like professional focus pullers who just are responsible for keeping the actors or like whatever the focus wherever it's required. And again, they work closely with the DOP. There are sets like which are made for like lakhs and lakhs of rupees. There is an actor who's charging you lakhs and lakhs of rupees on set. He said his dialogues properly, but for some reason, if he moved aage piche or focus chala gaya, then you have to do it again and everything costs money. So the person responsible for focus, it's like a very important post. Okay, so this gaffer would be now the person who you would go for your lighting and stuff. Now he's someone who actually knows the lights in and out. Like a DOP may just know ki ye lights available hai and stuff, but after a point the DOPs don't really go in much detail. They just say from this side I want a soft light, or from this side I just want a direct light. They won't even mention which lights and how and what. So the gaffer is someone who will then delegate this work to his other lighting department. Like they'll have some number of light crew with the light men, they are called, who will place these lights. They'll put the cables for the lighting and stuff, and then the electrician, they'll have the lighting department have electrician to figure out the electric consumption of those lights and all that stuff. Okay, so the key grip is again the grip department that that I mentioned earlier. So all these rigs that you see, like this is a track trolley, I would say. This is like a rig for a camera, or a rig for a car, and this is like a crane. So all these are like non-electrical, non-light stuff. And again, there is a certain crew which is known as the the grip department, and they will help you with putting it up all like. But again, you need to mention key if the person is putting a track from point A to point B, the cinematographer needs to know, okay, this is my point A, this is my point B. If like for working for like 15 minutes, putting all this rig together, and then you can't be like, "Arey, ye to thoda galat ho gaya, wahan se karte hain." Then again, for next 15 minutes, you have to wait till the setup is. Okay, so camera assistant is someone in, at least in India, in US and stuff. Like if you see their videos or like they read their books, their assistant camera people jobs are slightly different. Like it's the same job, but thoda idhar udhar hai. So this I've put together how it works in India. So normally a DP would have a chief AC or like a first AC. How it works is, now I mentioned the gaffer, I mentioned the key grip and stuff. A lot of time how it works is the DOP tells whatever the movement is, whatever the lighting is required to his first AC or chief AC. And then the chief AC is someone who would communicate with the gaffer and this, and like will get it executed on the ground. Like after a point, the DOP might just be with the director figuring out the next shot or whatever. But AC would be responsible for making things done on ground. Like if a track and trolley has to be set, then if it needs to be done in 10 minutes, it has to get done in 10 minutes. Like you can't waste time. And at the same time, he's also responsible for like the camera setting and stuff, and like making sure like nobody's changing the settings and stuff. Uh, Again, there can be there is always this chief AC, but then there can be like multiple ACs or like assistant camera people who, again, the first AC mostly handles them and delegates them work. And yeah, so this is where you will get started if you decide to get into this field. Even if you study like from a film school and stuff, most probably you will have to start as an AC there.